Sometimes a film gets released with so many positive reviews, you're like, hold on, this can't be real. Surely not everyone's liking this so much. Is this going to be one of those overhyped films? So yes, One Battle After Another is getting a lot of high praise and many high scores from the critics. But interestingly, here from the Google reviews, we can see the film's nearly got as many 1-star reviews as it has 5-star reviews. And of course, when you have a film getting so much love, you are going to get those people who just want to be the opposite and just hate the film. But at the same time, I think with this film's subject matter being around, being very political, I think that's going to definitely turn some people off, and maybe they can't escape as much as they want to when it comes to this film. But I think this is one of those movies where, yes, it does deal with lots of political conversation, but at the same time, you can put that to one side and just enjoy the action thriller that is in front of you. There is definitely a lot of fun to be had in One Battle After Another because it is a satire, which I didn't fully realise going in because I did watch the trailer, but it's one of those instances where I watched it but didn't fully pay attention because I wanted to be surprised going in when watching it at the cinema. And what a surprise it was. I mean, to see a big budget Paul Thomas Anderson film was a delight, and he is definitely one of the most talented directors going right now. I really enjoyed Licorice Pizza recently as well. And also, you have Leonardo DiCaprio as your lead man, who always seems to pick some interesting projects when it comes to films, and he's great here. Don't underestimate his performance, because it's easy to do that because you're so used to seeing him really pull it out of the bag in terms of his performance. But he's great as the lead, as Bob. And then we also have some really strong performances across the cast. I think there's definitely some Oscar nominations going to be happening here, especially for Sean Penn for Best Supporting Actor, maybe even Benicio del Toro. He's not in the film that much, but he makes his presence known, definitely. But Sean Penn, I think he's on another level. I think he's definitely going to get nominated. He could even win it. It's that good. He's a perfect sort of villain, sort of villain you sort of see in 80s films, And it's just, he was just so fun. Every time he was on screen, you're like, oh, no, don't go. Come back. I want to see more of you. So yeah, it's a fantastic cast. And it's a film which has a few revs at the start. It's like, okay, I'm not really understanding all the hype at the moment, but then once it gets into its full motion, momentum just carries you through, and the runtime, it's 2 hours and 40 minutes or something like that. It flew by.
That was totally wicked!
Now, in terms of plot, just a basic summary. We have an ex-revolutionary played by Leonardo DiCaprio who's trying to rescue his daughter Willa, played by Chase Infinity, from a corrupt military official. Now, Chase Infinity is actually named after Chase Meridian from Batman Forever, and also the Infinity part comes from To Infinity and Beyond, obviously the quote from Toy Story. So awesome name, awesome actress. Her first film, and this is a great introduction. She's definitely one for the future. I think Paul Thomas Anderson said he was looking for years to find his Willa, and what a great find. She's perfect in the movie. And I think with this movie, it's very much a cat and mouse chase a lot of the time. So you really get into that chase, but also you get into the secrets the film holds, all the little intricacies as well. So that's what keeps you going. That's what really gets you glued to the movie. That's why it goes so fast, because you can't take your eyes off it. And especially towards the final third of the film, where we get into some car chases. There's a portion where we have this river of hills, Paul Thomas Anderson described as, which I think is one of those spots now where people will go and visit because it's iconic just from this film. It's been stated by Paul Thomas Anderson that this film has been in the oven for about 25 years because his original thoughts for it were back in the 90s. And this film is loosely inspired by a 1990 novel titled Vineland by Thomas Pynchon. And the whole film actually feels like it's from a different era. It feels like a classic film back in the cinema, and that's to the film's credit. And some of the peaks of the film definitely include these two characters. DiCaprio and Del Toro have that natural chemistry. And the scene, which is from this image here, it has one of the best parts of the soundtrack in it as well. That soundtrack from Johnny Greenwood, who you might know from Radiohead, was perfect. He's worked a lot with Paul Thomas Anderson in the past as well. But this should definitely get Oscar nominated. But for that scene in particular, it reminded me of Zelda Breath of the Wild, which is a bit of an odd sort of thing to think about. But the combat music in that game really gets you ready for combat. It really gets you going. It gets that intensity up. You know you're about to be in the battle, and so that sort of music it was very similar to what we get here in the film. Let me actually just play it for you. The thing is with this film, yes, there is action, but even in the smaller, quieter moments, like for example, seeing someone on the phone, you're still gripped to it because you're like, how is this character going to get out of this tough situation? There are many times throughout the movie where there is a character in a corner. You're like, how are they going to get out of this? Now, with the way the story is told, there are some ways out of it which are maybe easier than you'd expect. But even with that being the case, once they're out of that situation, you're like, okay, well, that's great. But now there's another hurdle for them to jump over and another one after that. So there's always that next issue. And that really makes you, sort of willing the characters to get through them. But also you're like, wow, is there ever going to be a chance where there's freedom with these characters? As you know, these days, people do have short attention spans, and this is a long film with a big chunk of setup at the start, which is probably the weakest portion of the film. The film gets better and better after that. Once we get to that time skip, it really kicks into gear. But it has to have this setup to introduce the characters, the stakes, and the world we're about to enter. I think it's all great. I think maybe it could have been trimmed a bit here and there, but I can just see some audiences not sticking with it, thinking, oh, what's this all about? Oh, people said this was great. This ain't getting into it quick enough, and maybe even leaving, or switching it off when it comes to home viewing, which would be a shame because they wouldn't, get to see the film which unfolds. But just knowing modern audiences, but I think that's maybe more of a discussion about modern audiences than it is this film. There's a good chance this film won't make a profit because it has a production budget of around $130 to $150 million, and it's not a franchise film, it's not a sequel, it is an original film. And the thing is, does it have any star power? Well, DiCaprio is star power, but the director, Paul Thomas Anderson, has mainly done indie films in the past. He's no Christopher Nolan to get people's bums in seats here. However, it is maybe a foot in the door if he wants to go more in that mainstream direction going forward. And so this could be a good investment from Warner Brothers for the future. But I think hopefully the word of mouth will get around for this movie, that it is a great film, one of the best of the year, definitely. And you should go and see it in the cinema, not only just in the cinema, but maybe in IMAX and in VistaVision, because it was filmed in VistaVision as well. To see it in those premium formats, really get that experience of a fantastic movie. So hopefully the word of mouth will spread and will get people to watch this on the big screen. I would definitely implore you to watch it. If you haven't seen a film for a while at the cinema, check this one out. If you have any inkling, give it a go. I really think you should do it, because also there will be a time where I'm worried to say that there won't be a cinema. There won't be that experience again, because the cinema is struggling, and I will be doing a video soon about that, because there are ways hopefully to get around it, but this is the perfect example. This is an original film. People have been asking for that, saying, oh, well, it's only sequels and remakes and whatever else. Well, here we go. Here's something. Give it some support. So yes, if you couldn't tell already, I absolutely love One Battle After Another. It's definitely one of the best films of 2025. The cast was superb. Paul Thomas Anderson's writing and directing was brilliant, and just shows what happens when you have a competent filmmaker behind your movie. Johnny Greenwood's score as well was the cherry on the icing of the cake. And it's one of those films where I was sat thinking, this film has re-energized my love for cinema. Like, I love film. That's why I made a YouTube channel about movies, and this is a film that is the reason for that. So, that's what some of the highest praise I can give it. So that's my thoughts on One Battle After Another. What are your thoughts though? Did you enjoy it as much as me, or did you have some issues with it? Let me know all those in the comments down below. Like the video if you enjoyed it, subscribe for more, and if you want to watch another video, on screen are a couple of my recent reviews.